Yeah, hi everyone once again. So we'll just start our session next 2 or 3 minutes because I'm seeing that people are still joining in. So we're gonna start in next 2 or 3 minutes. All right? Thank you. Good evening once again to all. Thank you for joining in. I can see that most of the guys have joined and we can start the session. Kamesh, I'm not sure that whether you can hear me right now or not because you just responded that you can't hear me. Okay, thank you. All right, so we have Kamesh, Ranga, Reddy, Siva, Subhajit, Tony, Venkat. I welcome you all once again. This is our last session of this batch where we're going to discuss the white papers and some kind of question and answers that usually come up in the certification. You get the idea that, okay, what are things that we have followed so far, how much improvement we need to work upon, or how much things we have to grasp more. First thing first, we're going to discuss the white papers, two white papers, overview of security processes and building fault-tolerant applications. The reason being, this first one, overview of security processes, is the most important of all. You may expect at least 2 or 3 questions coming up from this white paper. All right. So we're going to discuss this first, and then we're going to discuss our second white paper. Overview of security processes. Now, why Amazon Web Services, they stress too much upon security, right? The reason being, any cloud provider wants to induce a kind of a trust and confidence upon the customers so that they can convince the customers or clients that they can get the maximum security if they deploy their resources from in-house to their own platform, to the Amazon Web Services platform, because it's a big challenge to convince the customers. Any company, especially the financial institutions like American Express, Citibank, they don't want to take any risk as of now to migrate their confidential data, their databases, to the cloud service providers, because there's a threat that, okay, sometimes something may happen and their instances, the databases may be exposed to any kind of attacks. So in order to gain more confidence and trust of the customers, the different cloud providers, including AWS, they're working in a direction where They are making their resources more secure. They are incorporating more and more best practices, earning more accreditations, certifications to showcase the customer that yes, we have the proper security best practices in place. So this white paper is a reflection of that. It is a reflection that what are the responsibilities that the AWS handles, and also what are the responsibilities that a customer should handle to make their resources, their architecture more secure as ever before. Okay, so let's move further. Shared security responsibility model. Now, this is the first thing that we're going to discuss in this white paper. What do you mean by shared security responsibility model? Now, whenever you decide, or your organization decide that, okay, they have to migrate the resources from their own in-house deployment or the in-house data center to the Amazon Web Services cloud, the things go different in a different direction, right? Because as you are migrating all your resources to the cloud platform, you don't have the complete access, the transparency, the complete control over the resources. But yes, there are certain tools at your disposal that help you to make your resources, your instances, buckets, all these kind of resources secure. So this means that whenever you migrate your entire architecture on the Amazon Web Services cloud, or you start from scratch, in both these cases, the responsibilities to secure the infrastructure is being shared between both these parties, between the company and the Amazon Web Services as a cloud provider. To start with, we're going to discuss the responsibility of the Amazon Web Services first. Now, Amazon Web Services, they entire global infrastructure, including regions, availability zones, and edge locations. So this entire infrastructure is being owned by them. So this is the physical infrastructure that's completely being created, owned, managed by them, which means that since they have the complete access and control upon the physical aspects, they are responsible to take care of that. So their data centers are quite secure. They're quite isolated. No other company, including Amazon Web Services, they don't reveal the exact location of their data centers. Yes, they may say that, okay, we have the data centers in Virginia, in California, but they will never expose or never let you know that, okay, what's the exact physical location of the data centers. So even though if you call any technical support guy, and if some hardware changes need to be done, even the tech support guy will never even know that where the data center is located. So he will just route the ticket to the data center guy, and he will do the hardware changes from his end. Yeah, all right. And the data centers are quite secure. The access is authorized on least privileged basis. Also, apart from that, the entire network that constitutes your region, it also secure. So they have firewalls, they have intrusion detection systems. They're working in place to make the infrastructure as secure as possible. Now, upon this infrastructure, you deploy your virtual resources, including your instances. Now EC2 instances it's a foundation of almost all the services. All right, S3 buckets, database instances, any kind of virtual resource that you launch upon, it's been completely managed by you. So this comes under the complete control of the customer. Whether for the EC2 to apply this proper security groups, access control list towards the subnet, whether for the S3 buckets you have to create or manage the bucket policies to manage the permissions for that. For the RDS database instances, you have the proper security groups being applied to the database instances. You are using the IAM, and you're ensuring that the proper policies are being attached to the users and groups. So each and everything is completely under your hands. Even when you use a KMS, we have discussed the KMS, that stands for Key Management Service, that helps to encrypt the data. So these things are at our disposal. We can very well use these tools and services to make our instances, make our database instances, buckets, any kind of resource more secure as compared to before. Now this means that you as a customer should have the complete responsibility. For example, with respect to the Amazon EC2 instance, if I keep the RDP or SSH port open from anywhere, right? In that case, I am knowingly or unknowingly exposing my instances to some threats. Anyone can get the root access to my instance and can do anything. So these things we have to take care about. Also, upon the operating system, you may install some kind of third-party firewall or antivirus or any kind of virus detection system. Norton, you may enable the Windows firewall on the Windows instances. So these OS-based firewall, it's being completely managed by you. The reason being, Amazon Web Services, they don't have any visibility that what's going on inside your operating system. They can see that what's happening till the virtualization layer, but they don't have any kind of access or visibility that what's running inside the operating system. So apart from using the Amazon Web Services security tools, if you want to merge your own tools or you want to run some kind of firewalls or the virus scan softwares upon the instances, it's completely being managed by you. Now today, if you allow the root access from anywhere and you turn on the Windows firewall, you can't blame the Amazon Web Services for any kind of chaos that happens. Okay, so that's how you share the responsibilities between the customer and the Amazon Web Services. Both work hand in hand. They work shoulder to shoulder to make the infrastructure secure. And yes, you will use the IAM, Identity and Access Management, to create accounts and credentials to ensure in your company they have the proper policies attached and the proper permissions. You can also use a multi-factor authentication, MFA, to enable the second level of authentication for the sub accounts and the root accounts. Right. So let's deep dive in and discuss more points upon this. AWS security responsibilities. So we'll discuss that what are the responsibility of these Amazon Web Services. First thing first, they are completely responsible to protect their global infrastructure because it's completely in their hands. They are responsible to take care of the regions, availability zones, and the edge locations. They have state-of-the-art electronic surveillance and multi-factor access control systems. Now, I'm not sure how many guys have visited a data center. Whenever you get into a data center, you have to go through the thumb scans. First thing first, only the authorized people are being allowed to get into the data center. And if you're allowed, you have to go through the thumb scans, retina scans, and all kind of checks, right? Also, they have the CCTV cameras to ensure that any third person can get in and mess around with the hardware servers. So they have all the industry best practices on the industry devices in place to ensure that only the authorized people, they come in and they do the pre-described operations to perform the day-to-day operations and maintenance within the data center. They have 24/7 trained security guards to secure the premises of the data centers, regions, and so on. Access is authorized on least privileged basis. So only the authorized people are being allowed in. They are responsible for database patching, firewall configuration, and disaster recovery. So they are completely responsible to perform the patching of the databases, firewall configuration, because we might have we have discussed the DynamoDB, Redshift, this RDS. If we go with the automated patching and automated upgradation, this has to be done automatically at the back end by the Amazon Web Services. So they completely take care of that. Firewall configuration, so they have firewall placed at the endpoints to secure the entire network, Because if you think a region is a network itself. It's a collaboration of different data centers that are bound together with high-speed fiber optic connections. So if you have this circle as a region, you have these small data centers that are being bounded with the high-speed fiber optic connections. Now, they will also ensure that there's a disaster recovery. If one of the data center goes down, all the resources have been replicated automatically to different availability zones, and might be they will have multiple redundant links between the data centers. They will not rely upon a single service provider. They will have multiple or redundant links between different availability zones. So all these things have been taken care of by the Amazon Web Services. Apart from that, they are responsible. Sorry about that. So they're responsible for network monitoring and protection. Okay, so they have to take care of their entire network and ensure that no kind of man-in-the-middle attacks, IP spoofing, packet sniffing, distributed denial of service attacks should happen. Okay, so they have the tools, the firewalls in place to monitor any kind of protection threats, and they can deal with that. Storage device decommissioning. This is quite important. Now, whenever a kind of a storage device, whether it's a hard disk or a solid state disk, needs to be thrown out, might be that it is being old, it needs to be thrown out, or it's been corrupted, they follow the industry best practice to wipe out the entire data from the hard disk or the solid state disk, and once they have wiped out the entire data, they crush the hard disk in a crusher. You might have seen we have the paper crushers being placed inside our offices to crush the paper. Okay, it's the same thing. In the data centers, we have the hardware crushers to crush the hard disk before they are being thrown or being disposed of. So they follow the industry best practice to ensure that the confidential data of the customers are not being exposed to any unwanted people. Okay. Corporate segregation. What do you mean by that? Amazon Web Services, they have their own corporate network. Now, we all know that Amazon.com, Amazon.in, it's an e-commerce platform. So that's their own corporate network, right? So they run their own data centers, they have their own applications, their own services, they have their own databases. Now, they create a thin line between the corporate network and the customer network. Okay, it's logically separated, even though physically they are might be physically they reside in the same regions and availability zones, which is quite obvious. It will happen, or it exists because the physical aspect is it's same, but logically they are separate. For example, this is the AWS corporate network, right? And this is the customer's network, or the customer's VPC. I just name it as customer's network. So they have a very thin line between these two networks, even though they are being hosted or being supported by the single regions availability zones, because the backbone is the same, but they're logically isolated. Now, why they perform this kind of corporate segregation? Because they want that these two networks should be separate. They don't want to mix their own network with the customer's network due to some security reasons. Let's suppose that any one of the engineers wants to log in network to perform day-to-day operations and maintenance. So if this is a AWS administrator or architect, he will log in to something called Bastion host. Now, what happens internally is that the Amazon Web Services, this administrator will open a ticket. He'll get the access to get access to this Bastion host. It's called the bastion host. You may also call it as a jump server. So for some amount of time, this administrator will log into the bastion host to get into the customer's network to perform the day-to-day maintenance, administration, or any kind of troubleshooting that might be required. Once his job is over, the access to the bastion host, it's been taken away from him, and this entire thing has been documented. Okay, so it doesn't mean that any person in the corporate network, whether it's an engineer or architect, can simply sign into the customer's network and do anything. So a proper incident ticket will be opened. The person will be given access for some time. He will log into the bastion host, and this entire event has been documented. Okay, so once it's done with that, he logs out and he closes the ticket. So this entire event gets documented for these security reasons. So that's how they ensure that they follow all the best practices to enhance or to promote the maximum security for their infrastructure. So these are set of security responsibilities that are being handled by the Amazon Web Services. AWS compliance program. Now, it is not just that they will just release a white paper. They say, okay, we do blah blah blah, and anyone can just go and start deploying the infrastructure. They have to earn some kind of certifications. So there are some kind of third-party audits that happen, and they have to earn these kind of certifications or accreditations to ensure that the customers know about them. Because few organizations, they have to follow some standards like ISO 27001, ISO 9001 to migrate the infrastructure upon any of the cloud provider. So they have earned all these certifications. Their infrastructure is being audited by some third-party vendors. They perform the audits on frequent basis so that they stick to all the security best practices and ensure that they are operating as intended. The security practices are still operating as expected. Customer security responsibilities. So what are the responsibilities of a customer? Services like EC2, VPC, and S3 are completely under your control. So any kind of security tools like security groups, access control list, bucket policies, you can very well define that. Okay. Also, give me 1 second, please. I lost the pointer. Give me 1 second. I think something wrong. All right. Also, you can perform all necessary security configuration and management tasks. Okay. So all the necessary configuration and the management tasks can be done by you, including configuration of all the security groups, access controllers, and so on. Firewalls, you are completely responsible to manage the OS-based firewall and the AWS provided firewalls called security groups, and often you can use the access control list. IAM, or identity and access management, to manage your user accounts. Multi-factor authentication for each account. So it's quite recommended that you as a root account holder enable the second level of authentication for your sub accounts and also for your root account. Use SSL or TLS to communicate with your AWS resources. Also, you will use a CloudTrail for user activity logging. We have discussed that in our previous session. So CloudTrail is quite important. You can very well track and see that what kind of things are being happening across your infrastructure. What kind of API calls are being made to your resources by your sub accounts or by the external users. So this completes our white paper of overview of security processes. Any questions, any doubts regarding this? Anything you want to add? No questions, no doubts? Okay. So Vijay, your question is MFA will cost for a free tour. So Vijay, even it's a free tour account or a business account, MFA is an absolutely free service. If you're going with a virtual MFA, if you order the Gimeldo key fobs or the display cards, that's chargeable. It's a one-time cost. Otherwise, if you use a virtual MFA, even it's a free tour account or it's a business account, it's absolutely free. Okay? Because it's not a resource, it is just a kind of an authentication capability. Building fault-tolerant applications on AWS. Venkat, your question is RDS totally free? MySQL cost 0.017. No, Venkat, RDS is not totally free. Whenever you launch the RDS, you get two options. Either you can go for the production or you have to go for dev and test. So you have to choose for dev and test to ensure that that comes under the free tour category. Okay, RDS is not free. You have to choose the dev and test category, and also you don't choose provision IOPS, and also you have to choose db.t2.micro as your instance type. Otherwise, it's quite obvious that in the enterprise environment, the RDS will cost you per hour basis based upon the region that you choose and the amount of data that you store. Okay. Building fault-tolerant applications on AWS. Now we have seen so far that, okay, how to create the fault-tolerant applications, highly available applications, because whenever the people move to the cloud, after security, their main concern is, what if the AZ goes down? What if the region goes down? What if the instance goes down? So you have some kind of redundant or backup plans, certain tools to help you achieve the high availability and the reliability of your components or resources that run inside your architecture. So let's discuss all these components and the building blocks. Amazon Web Services provides a platform. Give me 1 second. It provides a platform that is ideally suited for building fault-tolerant software systems. However, this attribute is not unique to our platform. And this fault-tolerant application system is not unique. It's not a thing that's been discovered or invented by the Amazon Web Services. There are other cloud providers that can give you the same kind of fault tolerance. So what's the difference between other cloud provider and the Amazon Web Services? Given enough resources and time, one can build a fault-tolerant software system on any platform, right? Even in your in-house data centers, you can have redundant connections, redundant servers. So what's the difference with the AWS? The AWS platform is unique because it enables you to build the fault-tolerant systems that operate with a minimal amount of human interaction and upfront financial investment. Now, the difference over here is what makes the Amazon Web Services unique while creating the high availability is that whenever you go for the high availability components, there's a very minimum human interaction. If you're using the automation, bootstrapping scripts, AMIs, auto-scaling, load balancer, these are automated processes. There's very minimum or no human intervention required to achieve the high availability. And also, there's no upfront financial investment involved. Now, whenever the auto scaling has to spin up the instances or load balancer, you don't have to invest any few dollars to achieve that kind of fault tolerance. So with no or minimum human intervention and very low or no upfront financial cost, you can achieve the high availability. So that's the uniqueness of the Amazon Web Services. That's how it stands out different as compared to other providers. The first step to achieve the high availability is to create your Amazon machine images. Now I've shown you how to create the AMI. The first step towards building fault-tolerant applications on AWS is to create a library of your own AMIs. Your applications should be comprised of at least one AMI that you have created. Starting your application then is simply a matter of launching the AMI. Now you will never, in a real-time scenario, you will never ever use the public AMIs. Plain and simple. You will never ever use a public AMI. You will have your own custom-built AMI that will have your own set of services, applications bundled together in a package. So whenever you launch duplicate instances, either manually or automatically, the custom AMI will ensure that the duplicate instances that are being launched in the future will have exactly the same kind of set of applications and software that you want to run upon them. Okay, I guess I've shown, I've shown you the process of creating the AMIs. I guess it's quite clear and simple. Therefore, you should have a library or an inventory of your own AMIs. Okay, so that if you want to launch duplicate instances quickly, then you can have that using that AMI. So that's the first step towards achieving the fault tolerance. And one beauty of the AMI is that if this is the AMI, a single AMI, you can have different instance types being launched over the same AMI. Might be this instance type is t.micro. Might be this instance type is r3.large. Might be this is m4.medium. So it doesn't depend upon that which instance type you have chosen. The same AMI can help you to launch the different instances that belong to different instance families. All right. Elastic Block Store. Now that's the second step to achieve the high availability. Amazon Elastic Block Store provides a block-level storage volume for use with EC2 instances. Amazon EBS volumes are off-instance storage that persist independently from the life of the instance. Now, since your volumes, they run on a separate piece of hardware. Might be the volume is running on a NAS or a SAN storage at the back end, and this instance is running on an HP, IBM, or Dell server. So it doesn't matter that what's running at the back end. That even though, let's suppose your instance goes down, still you can retain the volume and the entire data that you have stored on there, because the data will be stored on the volume, not on the instances, right? So your volumes, they act as the independent components. You can attach the volumes to different instances in the same availability zone. Okay. The annual failure rate for an EBS volume is 0.1% and 0.5% compared to 4% for a commodity hard drive. So the annual failure rate is quite low. If the Amazon instance fails and needs to be replaced, the Amazon EBS volume can simply be attached to the new instance. Okay. Since this new instance is essentially a duplicate of the original, there should be no loss of data or functionality. So whenever you create duplicate instances using the AMIs or the snapshots or the volumes, the instances have the same services, same applications, same functionalities. This ensures that there's no loss of data or the functionalities, or you I would say that there's no downtime in that case, or very least downtime. Apart from relying upon the volumes, you can very well use the snapshots. Snapshots are the copies of the volumes. They can help you to take the backups of your volumes, and also you can migrate your snapshots, or you can restore duplicate volumes out of the snapshots in different AZs and different regions. So snapshots is also a very core component to achieve fault tolerance. Kamesh, your question is, does volume replica is also replicated at the backend? Of course, it's being replicated. The EBS volumes are being replicated across different hardware components in the same AZ. Okay, that's why their annual failure rate is quite low. Okay. Kamesh saying it is different than snapshot. Of course, Kamesh, it's different than the snapshot. The thing is, the replication that's happening at the back end, it's being controlled by the Amazon Web Services, whereas the snapshots are being controlled by us. Okay, that's a difference. As per my understanding, the replication that happens at the back end, it's being replicated on different physical hardware servers. However, the snapshots are being saved in the S3 buckets. So that's the difference. Elastic IP addresses. And elastic IP addresses is also a very core component to achieve a fault tolerance. Elastic IP addresses are public IP addresses that can be mapped to any instance within the region, because IP addresses are region specific, right? So you can achieve fault tolerance by routing or rerouting the elastic IP addresses between different instances. The addresses are associated with an AWS account, not to a specific instance or the lifetime of the instance, and are designed to aid the construction of the fault-tolerant applications. An elastic IP address can be detached from a failed instance and then mapped to a replacement instance within the short time frame. So you can very well achieve the failover within the same region, but yes, this process is quite manual. It's a kind of a workaround. If this instance fails, you can quickly replicate the elastic IP. Now the traffic will be routed to the Route 53 and reach your instance, because the traffic doesn't have intelligence that how the instances are being replicated. They just know, okay, this is the elastic IP. I need to reach that address. Okay, so you can perform or achieve the quick failover by using the elastic IP addresses. All right. Auto scaling and load balancing. Now we already discussed the concept of auto scaling and load balancing. You can use the concept of load balancing to scale your architecture up or down based upon incoming traffic, time of day, and demand. Right? You can automatically terminate the store instances at your will if they are unhealthy. Might be the time of day is over now. You don't require that. You can terminate instances. You can launch more instances based upon your requirement. Also, you use a load balancer that will perform the health check of your instances. It will redistribute the traffic and load balance the traffic. Okay. Auto scaling and elastic load balancing are an ideal combination. Now we have seen that. We have applied that in the practical situation. Elastic load balancing gives you a single DNS name for addressing, and auto scaling ensures that there's always the right number of healthy instances to accept the request. So there's a perfect combination of the auto scaling and the load balancer, because they work hand in hand to ensure that your architecture is up and running at all the times. Regions and availability zones. it's quite obvious that you have this entire infrastructure at your disposal. You can duplicate your instances, your resources across different AZs and regions to achieve the maximum and highest availability possible. Building multi-AZ architectures to achieve high availability. So you could improve fault tolerance by placing your compute instances behind a load balancer, and it's automatically balances traffic across multiple instances and multiple AZs, and ensure that only healthy instances receive the traffic, right? So you have the load balancer working behind the scenes. It receives the incoming application traffic, and it ensures that the traffic is routed across different instances that might be collected together in a single AZ, or they may reside in a different availability zone. Okay. Also, we have discussed that elastic IP addresses play a critical role in the design of a fault-tolerant application spanning multiple AZs. The failure mechanism can easily reroute the IP address and hence the incoming traffic away from a failed instance or zone to our replacement instance. We already discussed that. Okay. So this completes our white paper on the building highly available fault-tolerant applications on AWS. Any questions, any doubts regarding this one? So we already discussed this thing. Tony, your question is, can EBS fail? Of course it can fail, because any component, it's prone to failure. So that's why the replication happens automatically at the backend, and we also create the snapshots to create the backups of the EBS volumes. So really the question is, CloudWatch must be there for highly fault tolerance. Yeah, you can see that. See, CloudWatch is also a very important component. We can't miss that, because at the end, CloudWatch would be the one that would be working within the auto scaling to trigger the alarms, based upon which the actions will be performed. Yeah, I agree with you, Subhajit. CloudWatch must be there to achieve the high fault tolerance. Okay, because at the end it will trigger the alarm. Kamesh, your question is, just recall each AZ have its own EBS, or each region should have. So Kamesh, to re-emphasize or reiterate, the EBS volumes are availability zone specific. They are not region specific. Okay, so a single EBS volume is being contained within a single availability zone. It can't surpass a single data center. Okay, so in order to migrate the EBS volume within the region or different availability zones, you have to make use of snapshots. All right. Any questions, any doubts you guys have? I'm just pausing for a few seconds. Sorry about that. Okay, we have a question right now. Venkat, your question is, are these only 2 white papers important for the institute exam? The list on AWS site is huge. Now, Venkat, don't go for the entire list because they have hundreds of white papers, right? It's a good thing because if you have more knowledge, it's a good thing for you. But these 2 white papers are more than enough. The reason being, the purpose of the white paper is to give you more clarity on the processes. But this one is the most important. You will get at least 3 to 4 questions from this white paper. I will show you in the examination. It is quite obvious that if you read more white papers, you will gain more knowledge. Okay. Otherwise, from the examination perspective, from my understanding, from my experience, these 2 white papers are more than enough. Okay, you shouldn't go beyond that. But yes, if you want to gain extra knowledge, we can go through more white papers. Tony, your question is, so even for the EBS, we have to take the backups. Of course, Tony, we have to take the backups of the EBS in the form of snapshots. Okay, and that snapshots are being saved in the form of they're saved in the S3 packets at the back end. Okay. Yeah, Venkat. So these 2 things, these 2 documents that I'm showing you, white papers, they are relevant to the S3 examination. All right. Now, I guess we should take a break. Okay. Once we come back, we're gonna discuss these 30 to 40 questions. I guess we can discuss 30 questions, which are important from the examination perspective. It will be kind of a quiz for you, where I will be asking the questions. I will be throwing the questions for you, and you have to answer the appropriate option, because each question will have at least 4 right options, 4 options. So you can either speak out, raise your hand, or you can just type in which option suits you the best. Okay, so we'll just spend our rest of the time discussing the question and answers. Kamesh, your question is, EBS doesn't have any data, so it doesn't make sense to take backup. Kamesh, first thing first, EBS will have your data. Okay. If it doesn't have the data, then you don't create the backup. Quite and simple. If the EBS, if you haven't stored any data on the EBS, so you can skip taking the snapshots. It's the same thing. If you have a physical machine, a laptop with you, and if you don't have any data to backup, why you perform the backup? So it's the same thing that applies over here. If an EBS volume doesn't contain any data, then don't take the backup in the form of snapshots. Okay. Okay, Gamesh is saying ELB. So Kamesh, till this point of time, you're talking about EBS, so I think you're talking about ELB right now. For ELB, it's not a backup device, right? ELB is just for passing on the traffic towards your instances, right? So if an ELB doesn't hold your data, you don't have to create duplicate load balancers, but you can have redundant load balancers just in case if one is down, then you can rely upon a different load balancer that you can achieve. Okay. Otherwise, you don't have to back up your ELB. It's not possible to back up the ELB because it's just a component that forwards the traffic, performs a health check. That's it. But you may have redundant just for the high availability reasons. Okay. So guys, let's take a break for 15 minutes. You can have your dinner, you can refresh yourself. Once we come back, we're going to discuss the question and answers. Okay. So let's take a break. Once we come back, we're going to continue. All right. Thank you.
Welcome back. Okay, so people are back now. We can start with our Q&A session. All right, so let's get started. And this would be in a kind of a quiz format where I will be speaking out the questions with 4 answers, and you have to type in the best possible answer from your perspective. So let's just start with our first question. An instance is launched into the public subnet of a VPC. Which of the following must be done in order for it to be accessible from the internet? A. Attach an elastic IP to the instance. B. Nothing. C. Launch a NAT instance and route all traffic to it. D. Make an entry in the route table passing all the traffic outside the VPC to the NAT instance. Take your time, read this question, read the answers, and let me know which is the best possible answer from your side. I'm just waiting for the answer from you people. You guys let me know the answer for this first question. Okay, so we have the response from Tony saying B, Azar B. All right, let's wait for other people to respond. Sai saying B. All right, so we did A. Okay. Any more responses from any more guesses from other people? If they can at least try. Because this is a simple question from my understanding, not too tough. Ramakrishna is saying A, Venkat B. Okay. The correct answer for this question is, if I go back, is given by Venkat and Ramakrishna, that is A. Attach an elastic to the instance. If you can recall one thing, or the concept that we have discussed, in order for your instance to be publicly accessible, the first thing that you have to keep in mind is that the IGW, the Internet Gateway, needs to be associated to the subnet, and the elastic IP, if it's a non-default VPC, the public IP, if it's a default VPC, should be assigned to the instance. If any one of these two prerequisites are not being fulfilled, you can't make your instances publicly accessible, plain and simple. Any one of the two conditions are missing, your instances are not exposed to the internet. The above question says, an instance is launched into the public subnet. Public subnet means that it already has access to the IGW, which means your first condition has been fulfilled. The other thing is either you have the elastic IP or the public IP. So the option A is the most appropriate of all. Comment is saying also A. Okay. So the correct answer is you have to attach an elastic IP to the instance so that it is accessible from the internet. Okay. Let's move further. In VPCs with private and public subnets, database servers should ideally be launched into a public subnet, B private subnet, C either of them, D not recommended. Quite easy question. I don't think that you should spend some more time on it. Comment is saying B, Subhajit B. Okay. Tony B. Kamesh B. Okay. So the answer is B. Okay. It's a quite easy
question. In the private subnet, you should ideally keep your database instances and the backend application servers. Kavish, you have any question, right? Anything you want to speak on? Because I've seen you have raised your hand. No? Okay, my mistake. Third question. An instance is connected to an ENI, that's Elastic Network Interface, in one subnet. What happens when you attach an ENI of a different subnet to this instance? You have the 4 options in front of you. Read them out. Take your time, and let me know which is the right answer. Kamesh is saying B. All right. Let's wait for the response from other guys. Subhajit B. Okay. Azar D. Okay. The correct answer is B. The instance follows the rules of both the subnets. Whenever you detach the ENI and attach it to another instance that may reside in a different subnet but in the same AZ, it carries the public IP, the MAC address, and the private IP that is the property of the previous subnet. So in that case, the instance will receive the traffic of both the subnets. It will follow the rules of both the subnets. The correct answer is B. Okay. Fourth question. Which of the following can be used as an origin server in CloudFront? You have to choose 3 options. 3 options you have to select. Let's take your time. Okay, we have the answers right now. Tony saying A, B, and D. So we did the same answer. Kamesh A, C, and D. Ramakrishna saying all 4. You have to choose 3 answers, Ramakrishna. Azure A, B, and D. Okay, Kamesh is saying, could you please explain with the diagram? Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that just after this question. I will explain. I think you're talking about the previous question that we discussed. Is it for the ENI? I'll explain that. Okay, no worries. I explain that. So the correct answer for this question is A, B, and D. 3 components can be used as the origin server for the CloudFront: S3 bucket, your EC2 instance, or the external HTTP web server. RDS instance cannot be used. It's a database option, not a content delivery option. So A, B, and D are the right answers. Okay. Going back to the previous question, Kamesh is saying, could you please explain using a diagram? Sure, we'll do that. The previous question says, this one, that whenever you detach the ENI and attach to another one, how exactly the properties are being associated. Okay, so this works in such a way that, let's suppose that this is your instance 1, which is running in a subnet A associated with your availability zone A. You have a different subnet, a different instance, I'm sorry. Subnet B, it's running in subnet B, however the availability zone is same. Right? Now, with these instances, you have the interfaces attached. This is the default network interface ETH0 for your instance 1. And for instance 2, this is your default network interface ETH0. Now what you have done alongside with this one, that you have attached ETH1, that's a secondary network interface, with this first instance. Now this ETH1 will carry 3 unique characteristics. The first one would be the public IP. The second one, the private IP. And the third attribute or the characteristic is the MAC address. Right. Now whenever you detach this ETH1 and attach to the second instance that's running in the same availability zone but a different subnet, all these 3 properties are being associated to the second instance. Public IP, private IP, and the MAC address. Now especially this private IP, it is a part of the subnet. Because whenever you launch instances, they get the private IP from the range of the subnet. So all these 3 properties, including the private IP addresses, they become the part of your second instance. Now the second instance over here will receive the traffic for both the subnets because now it has properties, or it's carrying the properties of both the subnets. So that's the reason. Okay. So I guess, Kamesh, this answers your question. Okay. No worries. You're welcome, Kamesh. Fifth question, quite important, always come up in certification. In the cloud front, what happens when the content is not present at an edge location and a request is made to it? Just read out these 4 questions, take your time, don't be in a hurry, in a rush, and let me know what's the best possible answer. Kamesh is saying B. Okay. All right. Subhajit B, Tony B. All right, let's wait for other people. The correct answer is B. CloudFront delivers the content directly from the origin servers and stores it in the cache of the edge location. If you can recall, let's go back. And I discussed this with a diagram because for the people who don't have the clarity about this concept, I can at least try to make it more understandable. So let's take this example of a diagram. You have the origin server, which can be either the S3 bucket, external web server, or an instance residing inside your Amazon Web Services cloud. Now, these are all the edge locations over here that have the copy of your contents. They have extracted the cache copies or the cache copies of the objects, and it's stored in their individually cache memories. In an ideal situation, which is here, the users ask for the content, and the edge location, since it has a content stored in its cache memory, it will very well give the content to all the end users without any hassles or restrictions. So that's an ideal situation, a normal situation. And what happens if the users ask for the content from the edge location and the edge location is clueless because it doesn't have a copy of that content stored in its cache memory? In this case where the edge location doesn't have the copy of the content, it will then contact the origin server and say, hey origin server, do you have this content users asking for? If that content is with the origin server, it will say, yes, I have the content, this is the content. The same content will be streamed directly to the end user, and apart from it, the edge location will save a copy of the content in its cache memory for the future reference, so that if any person in the future asks for the same content again, the edge location can very well get the content without contacting the origin server. Okay, so that's how the stuff works. Sixth question, Amazon Glacier is designed for, you have to choose two answers. Comments using BNC, Tony BNC. Okay, I'm expecting the answers from other people. Okay, so Ramakrishna is saying CNA, so we did CNB, BNC, Azar BNC, Ramakrishna BNC has corrected himself. So the correct answer is BNC. You will use the Glacier to store the infrequently accessed data and data archives. The reason being, it's an extremely low cost storage. However, the data retrieval time is quite high. So B and C are the right answers. Good job done. Seventh question. You have configured the ELB to perform the health checks on these instances. If an instance fails to pass the health checks, which statement will be true? Just take your time here and answer this. Okay. Kamesh and Subhajit are saying C. Tony, the same answer, C. So the correct answer is C only. The ELB will stop sending the traffic to the instance that failed the health check. C is the right answer for the 7th question. All right. Let's move further. In the basic monitoring package for EC2, Amazon CloudWatch provides the following metrics. We discussed the CloudWatch in a previous session, so I expect the right answer. Which are the following metrics you get in the basic monitoring? Kamat is saying he can't hear me. I'm not sure what's the problem. I guess other people can hear me without any trouble. Let me just send him the message. Okay. Kamich is saying B and D. Ranga and B and D. Okay. Subhadip is saying except C. Now, one thing you have to be sure that in this one you have to choose only one right answer. Only one right answer. So we have done the CloudWatch in a previous session. I showed you how to create the custom metrics. So Venkat is saying B. All right. Azhar B. Tony D. Rangareddy B. Subhadip B. Okay. The correct answer is given by only one person, that's Tony. The answer is B. Good job done, Tony. So in the basic monitoring package, you only get the hypervisable visible metrics like CPU utilization. If you can recall, I enabled the custom metrics by myself that used to take out the or show the graphical overview of the disk utilization and memory utilization. So that doesn't comes under the basic monitoring package. You have to create your own custom one. All right. The correct answer is D. Rest other one you have to customize by yourself. Ninth question, quite easy. To protect the S3 data from both accidental deletions and accidental overwriting, you should. You have the 4 answers, 4 options. Just let me know which is the best one out. Okay, so Ranganati is saying A. Okay. Tony A, Azhar A, Ramakrishnan A, Subhajit A, Kamesh A. Okay. Kamesh, I would appreciate if you type in the questions, the answer in the question pane, not in the chat window, because I can collectively see all the answers. Because this chat and the question window, it appears differently. So I may miss your answers. Okay, please type in the question pane. So correct answer is A. What is given by all the people? I think so. Yeah. Yeah. So the A is the right answer. 10th question. Quite important. Always comes up in the certification. And just now we have discussed the overview of security processes white papers. Which is an operational process performed by AWS for data security? A. AES 256 encryption of data stored on any shared storage device. B. Decommissioning of storage devices using industry standard practices. B. Background wireless scans of EBS volumes and EBS snapshots. D. Replication of data across multiple regions. You have the E option in the same line. Secure wiping of data when an EBS volume is unmounted. Which is an operation process that's being performed by AWS for its data security? Take your own sweet time, read all the questions and read all the answers. Don't be in a hurry. We just discussed the overview of security processes white papers. Based upon that thing that we have discussed and your logic, let me know which is the right answer. Subhajit is saying D. Okay. Rangaredi A. All right. Kamesh is saying B and D. Kamesh, only one answer is correct. Because in the multiple answers, you'll get the option in that. Tony is saying B and D. So Tony, one option is you have to choose out. Because in the questions where you have to choose more than one options, you will get that highlighted in the question itself. Somebody is saying A, Ramakrishna E, Ranga is saying B, maybe B, D, Tony B, okay. Other guys can try. Kamesh is saying D. Now he has changed the answer. Kamesh is saying B. Yeah, one answer we have to give. So you're saying B. Kamesh, okay. The correct answer is given by Kamesh. And let's see. I'm not sure. Kamesh, Tony, and I guess Venkat also give the right. Venkat, okay, it was regarding some. Yeah, Venkat also give the right answer. B. Decommissioning of storage devices using industry standard practices. If you see the question, it says, which is an operational process that's being performed by AWS, not you. Simply means that all these other operations can be done by you. You can't you can't go to you just can't take the flight, just enter the AWS data center and decommission their storage devices. We don't have that access. It's purely being done and accomplished by Amazon Web Services by themselves. We don't have access to the physical storage devices, so we can't decommission them. Okay, that's why I discussed the white paper, because I know that this question always comes up. I'll give a copy of this PPT slide. This always comes up. So you may expect at least 2 or 3 questions from the white paper. Eleventh question, what's the maximum size of a single S3 object? Easy. Comment is saying B. Okay, Venkat, yeah, you also gave B. Yeah, I saw that. Tony B, Subhajit B, Rangaredi B, Ramakrishna B, Azhar B. That's right answer. 5 terabyte is the maximum size of a single S3 object. 12th question, is the data stored in S3 always encrypted? A, yes, B, no. So these are the 4 options, just read them out.
Ranganat is saying D, Subhadip C. Okay. Azad C. Ramakrishnan C. Tony B. Kamesh B. Okay. Other guys can also try. The correct answer is C. Yes, but only when the right APIs are called. If you can recall, let's go back to the memory console. I'm sorry. If we go back to the memory console and let's try to open the site. Just give me a second over here. Now, whenever you try to encrypt any data, I've shown you that once we discussed the KMS, we have discussed that. If I go to any one of the buckets right now, and I try to upload any file, right, like this one. Before I upload that, I click on Set Details. Okay. Once I go to Set Details, I click on the Use Server-Side Encryption, and it use an AWS KMS, Key Management Service, and it choose one of the keys that's already there. So I guess we create this financial key in our session, and we can start upload. So the data to S3 bucket, now it got, I think it got failed because that key is being disabled by me to save the cost because the keys are being charged. Let me just choose the default master key, this one. So what happens is that you have to make the right API calls to make this happen, because right now I'm signing into my account, doing all these operations, I'm making API calls to perform this operation. The data is never encrypted by itself automatically. You have to make the right API calls. You have to perform this manually by yourself. Answer is C in this case. Yes, but only when the right APIs are called. All right. Ramakrishnan, you're saying with the question raised now is sufficient for exam perspective for me to pass. Ramakrishnan, one thing I want to make clear to all of you guys that these are important questions from the examination perspective. Few questions, but these are not the dumb questions that will come up or will come in the examination. So please don't fall into any trap if someone says to you that, okay, pay a few dollars and these questions will come up, because there's no dumb questions kind of thing that exists in AWS. You can get any number of questions, but these are 30 or 40 questions that I've seen that the regular pattern that usually come up in the examination. Okay, so don't rely upon these 30 or 40 questions and you just go ahead and skip the examination. It is just for
the understanding, in-depth, clearing more concepts, and giving you the overview that how usually the questions come up. And yes, these are important from the examination perspective. Now, Raghav, your question is, do we have done for this? Unfortunately not. Because you get the dumb questions for the Microsoft examinations, for the Cisco examinations, but this thing is not available, unfortunately, in the Amazon Web Services. Okay, might be the future, because they don't even have the book available in the market. I guess I discussed with you the previous week that they are launching a book in October, November. So they're still in the process of making their processes more clear, trying to ensure that more and more people get these certifications. I guess down the line, 6 months or 1 year, we may see these kind of dumb questions and answers, but still, right now, it doesn't exist. So you have to rely more upon the knowledge as compared to the important questions. That's why these questions that I've chosen such a way that no, it covers all the topics, and these are important questions that I've seen. Because, for example, this question, this one, it always comes up. It always comes up. It's a guaranteed question that comes up. And this question, where is that? This one, fifth question, the CloudFront. This always comes up. So these are a few important questions that I've picked up depending upon the patterns, depending on the feedback. Okay. That I've got from different people and the architects. Okay, 13th question. What is true for S3 bucket? Now, this is what a very important question. 90% in the choices, this also comes up. What is true for S3 bucket? Select multiple if more than one is true. As a hint, you have to choose 3 right answers out of that. Take your time, read this out, and let me know what's the best answer from your perspective. I guess we have the answers right now. Ramak is saying except D, Azad C and D, Subhajit A, B and C, Tony A, B and C, Raga and D, B and C, and Kamich is saying A, B and C. Okay. Ranga, you asked the question, do we have any question bank apart from this? Unfortunately not. I don't have any question bank apart from this as of now. The correct answers are, the options are A, B, and C. See, why these 3 options are correct? If it is, go back to the Raman console and try to create a bucket right now. Let's do that. Let's try to create a bucket. Whenever we create a bucket, for example, let's type in a very common name, test. More likely, it gives me an error message. The requested bucket name is not available. The bucket namespace is shared by all users of the system. Please select a different name and try again. Okay. So the bucket namespace is unique among all the Amazon Web Services users. It's always recommended that you choose a unique name. Also, the bucket namespace that you're choosing, it can be alphanumeric, test 007. No special character allowed except this hyphen. No caps allowed. Okay. So that's how the naming is being chosen for your SD bucket. Also, the buckets are specific to a region, which means that anything that is stored in the bucket, they are being confined within the region. Apart from that, you can't migrate the buckets from one region to another. It's not possible. Yes, you can, if you can recall, we have enabled the cross-regional application. That can help us to what I would say, replicate the contents between different buckets. Yeah, so if you have different buckets, a source and a destination bucket, we can replicate the objects, but we can't replicate the entire bucket across regions. That's why the bucket namespace is shared among all AWS users. It's correct. This first option. Right. Bucket names can contain alphanumeric. It's correct. Buckets are associated with a region and all data in the bucket resides in that region. It's correct. Buckets can be transferred from one account to another. It's incorrect. You can replicate the objects but not the entire buckets. So A, B, and C are the correct answers. Fourteenth question, quite important. AWS can always tolerate an vulnerability zone failure. So you have the 4 answers. You have to give the right answer, only one answer. Just take your time. I think we have the answers right now. Subhajit A, Rangaradi C, Tony A, Azad C, Ramakrishna B, Kamesh B. The correct answers are given only by Subhajit
and Tony? The answer is A. Now, EBS volume cannot tolerate a single everybody zone failure. Why this option is correct? For example, this is your EBS volume, and this is your instance. They reside in the same availability zone. If the entire availability zone fails, all will be shut down. The volume cannot tolerate an AZ failure. That's why we have the snapshots. So the most appropriate answer is A. EBS volume cannot tolerate a zone failure because it's stored in the single AZ where the instance resides. Okay, it was a typical question, I can understand, because this option, which one? C looks like more appropriate, but A is the closest to the right answer. 15th question. Which of the following auto-scaling cannot do? You have to select multiple if more than one is true. As a hint, you have to choose 2 right answers, and there's a big cannot. So what are the operations that the auto-scaling cannot perform? Just take your time. I guess we have the answers right now. So with C and D, Ramakrishnan D, Azhar B and D, Tony B and D. I'm sorry, Tony saying C and D. Kamesh A and D. Rangareddy C and D. The correct answers are C and D. See, an auto-scaling works on the principle of elasticity. It will never increase the instance size when the utilization is above the threshold. It will increase the number of instances, but not the instance size. And also, auto-scaling never ever works on the RDS. Please keep this one thing in mind. On the RDS, we have the multi-AZ option enabled. Auto-scaling, load balancer, they don't actively work on the web servers or web applications. I'm sorry, database applications and database servers. For the RDS, you will have the multi-AZ. So these 2 operations auto-scaling cannot do at all. Okay. Sixteenth question. It's regarding the multi-AZ. Which of the following benefits does adding multi-AZ deployment in RDS provides? You have to choose multiple if more than one is true. As a hint, you have to choose 2 right answers. I guess we have the answers right now. Kamit is saying A and D. Okay. Azad is saying B, C, and D. Ramesh is saying D. Rangareddy D. Guys, you have to choose two right answers. Two answers are right. Okay, so I guess we have the answers right now. Tony A day, Subhajit A day, Rangareddy A, Azhar B and D. Okay, B and D is saying that. The correct answer are A and D. Multi-AC is being used in two different scenarios. If your entire AC goes down, which means the A is the appropriate answer, and also if the goes down doing some intense tasks, A and D are the right answers. Okay. 17th question. For an instance launched in a private subnet in the VPC, which of the following are the options for it to be able to connect to the internet, assuming that the security groups have proper ports open? Quite easy question, not tough, but it's lengthier. Take your time, read out the options, and let me know what's the right answer. Okay, so Ramakrishna is saying D, Rangareddy say, Azad say. Tony is saying for the 16th question, B is also valid now. Tony, B is not valid because the multi-AC never works in the decreasing the latencies. It is just used for failover. So B is not the right answer for the 16th question. Subhajit Singh C. So the correct answer is C. You will use the NAT instance, and Kamit is also giving the same answer. C. You will use the NAT instance in this case. Okay, in order for the instances inside the private subnet to download the patches from the internet.
18th question, quite easy and always come up in the examination. 18th question says an organization has created 5 IAM users and the organization wants to give them the same login ID but different passwords. How can the organization achieve this? You have to choose one right answer. Okay, I guess the people are giving the answers now. Comments are saying they. Azad say Subhajit Bay, Raghunath Day, Tony Bay, Ramakrishnan Bay. As per this question, can you create duplicate users or not? Let's do one thing. Let's shoot back to the Mammoth Council. And let's try to create 5 different users with the same login ID and see what happens. I go to IAM, to Identity and Access Management. I go to users and create 5 different users with the same name. And what happens? If I can create, it says remove duplicate usernames. You can't have duplicate user ID in the same IAM database. Even if I have 2 roles, if I put any other user ID, Mahesh, Suresh, Mukesh, even that it will give me that remove the duplicate usernames. You can't have duplicate user IDs in the same IAM database or account. The correct answer is over here is this one, B. It is not possible to have the same login ID for multiple IAM users of the same account. This question I've also seen it comes up frequently in the examination. So the correct answer is given by Subhajit, Tony, Ramakrishnan, and okay. So these 3 people have given the right answer. Okay. 19th question. A user is planning to evaluate AWS for their internal use, and the user does not want to incur any charge on his account during the evaluation. Which of the below mentioned AWS services would incur a charge if it's used? A.
A, it was PIOPS, which stand for Progen IOPS, with 10 GB of size. B, it was S3 with 1 GB of storage. C, it was ELB running 24 hours a day. D, it was micro instance running 24 hours daily. So this is asking that if user wants to test some application, which service will incur a charge if you use any one of these services. Just take your time. Kamesh is saying A. Okay. What about the people? Azhar B, Tony A, Subhajit A, Ramakrishnan A. The correct answer is A, Progen IOPS. Because the Progen IOPS does not come under the free tier category. If you just go back to the Mammoth not to the Mammoth Council, if you just go to the site aws.amazon.com/EC2/pricing, you may see over here that in a free tier account you get 30 GB of EBS in any combination of general purpose SSD or magnetic plus 2 million IO. So you just get the general purpose SSD and the magnetic, you never get the PIOPS or the Progen IOPS. So if the user somehow uses the Progen IOPS, he has to incur some charges because that doesn't come under the free tier. 20th question. An organization has created 50 IAM users and the organization has introduced a new policy that will change the access of an IAM user. How can the organization implement this effectively so that there's no need to apply the policy at the individual user level? So you can read this question, read the options. Okay, we have the answers right now. Azhar A, Subhajit A, Ramakrishnan A, and Kamesh is saying also A. The correct answer is A only. Use the IAM groups and add users as per the role to different groups and apply the policy to the group. A is the right answer. 21st question. A user has recently started using EC2 and the user launched one instance in the default subnet in the VPC. Which of the following below mentioned options is not attached or available with the instance when it is launched? There's a correction. It's A, B, C, and D. So which of the options will the user get if he just launches the instance in the default subnet? Which of the options is not attached or available with the instance when it is launched? Kamesh is saying B, which means Elastic IP. Okay. So I'm just waiting for a response, waiting for the response from other people. Rangaran is saying is B. Okay. Subhajit B, Tony B. So the correct answer is B, because the Elastic IPs you get, you have to attach manually. Elastic IPs you don't get by default. Correct answer is B. All right.
22nd question. A user has created a web application with auto scaling, and the user is regularly monitoring the application, and he observed that the traffic is highest on Thursday and Friday between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. What is the best solution to handle scaling in this case? Okay, so we have the answers right now. Kamij is saying A, and Azhar C, Subhajit A, Tony A, Ramakrishnan A, Rangareddy A. So the correct answer is A. Schedule the order to scale up by 8 a.m. Thursday and scale down after 6 p.m. on Friday. It's a logical question, right? 23rd question. Quite important. This also I've seen comes up frequently in the examination. A user is trying to save some cost on the AWS process. Which of the below mentioned options will not help him to save the cost? I guess we have the answers right now. Kamij is saying A, and Azhar C, Rangareddy is C. Somebody is saying your the laptop is running out of the battery. Yes, I'll shoot the questions through the same slide. Somebody wants to exit out from the webinar before the battery dies out. You'll get the feedback form. Once you exit out from the webinar, then you can fill the feedback form. Okay, I'll post the questions in the shared Google Drive. All right. So somebody is saying A, Rangareddy D, Azhar C. Yeah, thank you, somebody. Thank you. Thanks for joining in. So I'm just waiting for the response from other people.
Okay. Tony saying A and B. Rangani saying, can you please share the Google Drive link to my email before end of date? Rangani, I've already shared the Google Drive link, but I'll share you with you again by the end of this day. Okay. Tony is saying A and B. You have to choose one right answer. The correct answer is delete the auto scaling launch configuration. See, a launch configuration is just a template that you use with auto scaling. If I just switch back to the management console and show you, once we go back to the main page, okay, and I go to EC2, now underneath your auto scaling, you have launch configuration and auto scaling groups. Auto scaling group contains instances, whereas launch configurations are nothing but more than the templates. These are just the templates, that's it. You can have 1,000 launch configurations saved in your account. However, it will not cost you even a single penny because these are not the resources. These are just the templates. So a launch configuration will not, if it will not add anything to your cost. Tony is saying, is ELB free of cost? I thought so. Tony, we're not talking about the ELB. We're talking about the launch configuration. That's a different thing as compared to the ELB. ELB, you get 750 hours in the free tier for free. Otherwise, it is chargeable. In a business account, it is being charged. Okay. So right now we're talking about the launch configuration, which is just a template. It never costs you because it's just it's not a resource. Twenty-fourth question. A user has created a subnet with VPC and launched an EC2 instance in the same subnet with only default settings. Which of the below mentioned options is ready to use on the instance as soon as it is launched? A. Internet gateway. B. Public IP. C. Elastic IP. D. Private IP. Okay, Kamesh has given a saying sorry D. I'm not showing why. Okay. And what about other people? Tony saying D. All right. The correct answer is D because you will, whenever you create a new subnet, the private IP would always be there. The other things like Internet gateway, Elastic IP, you have to provision by itself. Public IP would not be there because it's not a default subnet you're talking about. So D is the right answer. 25th question, quite easy and logical. A user has configured the auto scaling group with minimum capacity as 3 and the maximum capacity as 5. When the user configures the auto scaling group, how many instances will auto scaling launch? 5, 2, 0, 3. I guess we have the answer right now. Comment is saying D. All right. Which means 3 you're talking about. Tony D. All right. What about other people? Okay, so Ramakrishnan, Azhar, Raghav that is they're saying day, Azhar bay, Tony day. The correct answer is day. 3. Because whenever you choose the maximum size and the minimum size, for example, minimum is 3, maximum is 5. Your auto scaling will launch 3 instances. It will go to 5 unless the scalar event triggers. So the minimum would be 3. 26th question. A user is planning to use the AWS CloudFormation. Which of the below mentioned functionalities does not help him to correctly understand the CloudFormation? Take your time and read this question. Okay, Kamesh has given the answer right now. He's saying C. Uh, Tony D. All right. Ramakrishnan D, Tony D. Right. So the correct answer is C. Cloud formation follows the DevOps model for creation and dev and test. C and D. These are the right answers. This says which of the below mentioned functionalities doesn't help you to correctly understand the cloud formation? First thing first, cloud formation does not follows the DevOps model. It's saying does not. DevOps model is being followed by the ops work. And also cloud formation will never give you some kind of scripts to install software. The C and D are the right answers. Now over here, see, the thing is, most of the times you get the brackets that, okay, you have to choose 2 answers, 3 answers. Okay. So in the examination, most of the cases, you will get that you have to choose 2 answers. If you have more than one answer that you think correct, then you have to choose that. Okay. 27th question. A system admin is planning to set up event notifications on RDS. Which of the below mentioned services will help the admin to set up notifications? Ramakrishnan saying B. Okay. Kamesh is giving the answer right now. He's saying B. What about other people? So we're just left with these 3 or 4 questions now. Ramakrishnan B, Tony B. The correct answer is, I'm sorry, give me 1 second. The correct answer is B, AWS SNS, or Simple Notification Services. Organization wants to move to the cloud. They're looking for a secure encrypted database storage option. Which of the below mentioned functionalities will help to achieve this? A. AWS S3 server-side storage. B. AWS MFA with EBS. C. AWS EBS encryption. D. Multi-tier encryption with RDS or with Redshift. So a user is looking for a secure encrypted database storage option. Okay, so Ramakrishnan is saying C. Okay, and Kamesh is saying C. Raghavan is C. The correct answer is C only, because if he's looking for an encrypted database option, the best one is C, AWS EBS encryption. How? First thing first, S3 never works as the database storage option. So A is phased out. B, multi-factor authentication with EBS. Multi-factor authentication never works with any resources. It works with the accounts, whether it's a sub-account or a master root account. B is being phased out. D, Redshift, it's a data warehouse service, not a database service. So D is also phased out. C is the correct answer, AWS EBS encryption.
Second next question, the 29th one. An organization has created 50 IAM users and the organization wants that each user can change their password but cannot change their access keys. How can the organization achieve this? We have the answers now. Kamesh is saying C. Azad say, Tony B. Ranker. Okay, I think you are given the previous answers. Tony B. Azad say, Kamesh say. I'm just waiting for the response from the people. Uh, okay, Ragnar is saying C, Robinson C, Azad C. The correct answer is, yeah. Yeah. So the correct answer is C. The root account owner can set the policy from the IAM console under the password policy screen. If we just go back to the management console, let's just go back. Under this IAM, let's go back again. So under this IAM, once you go to the password policies or click on account settings, it's a password policy screen where you can have the user change their own passwords from here. You can enforce this kind of policy upon them. I'm sorry. 30th question. An application is generating a log file after every 5 minutes, and the log file is not critical but may be required only for the verification in case of some major issue. The file should be accessible over the internet whenever required. Which of the below mentioned options is the best possible storage solution for you? Comments is saying D. Okay, quite fast. Just read this question carefully. Just try to get the logic out of it, and just try to answer. Okay.
Kamesh is saying C, as it's not critical. Okay, you've changed the answer. Tony C, Venkat A, Ramakrishnan D. Alright. The answer for this last question is C, AWS S3 RRS, which stands for Reduced Redundancy Storage. If you see the question right now, it says an application is generating a log file every 5 minutes. This log file is not critical, which means it can be reproduced, but may be required only for the verification in case of some major issue. The file should be accessible over the internet when it's required, which means that you need a quick access to the data whenever it's required. A quick access to the data. So we have 2 points to see over here: non-critical, quick access. Now, if you see the Glacier, does it give us the quick access? No, because the retrieval time is quite high. If you want to retrieve 1 GB of data, it may scale between 1 to 4 hours. RDS is not a log delivery option. It is a database option. It's been phased out. Let's go. So the above 2 options have been phased out, A and B. What about C and D? Both S3 and RRS are the right options, but which is the closest? If I say S3, it means I'm talking about the standard storage, which is there by default. In both the cases, you will get the quick access of your data, of the log files. However, if the log file is not critical, it can be reproduced. To save your cost, RRS is the best option. So C, AWS S3 RRS is the right of all of these. All right. So this completes our Q&A session for today. I would be dragging and dropping this the white paper document and the Q&A for you on the shared drive. Let's copy this one. I go to Google Drive and just paste it over here. And regarding the white papers, so I'm just copying and pasting this slide for you as well. All right. So that's it for today. I hope that today's session was informative as we discussed 2 important white papers and few important questions. So I wish you good luck for your future. And you guys can give the examination once you think you're prepared. Azar, your question is, how can you plan for the exam and what's the process? How much does it cost? Azar, in this case, if you go to the site aws.amazon.com /certification, okay. So over here, you can see the entire details of different examinations and certifications. Now, this course is more relevant for the AWS Certified Solutions Architect Associate. The count of this one is $150. Okay, and you will get 80 questions that you have to cover in 60 minutes. Now, before giving the examination, you can give $20 and give the practice exam.
All right. So you can see all the details, the blueprint, and also from here you can schedule the examination. If you click on schedule exam, it will take you to the web assessor site. You have to create your login ID and password, and you can book the examination slot as per your requirement. So I'm just copying and pasting this link for you on the chat window. Okay. Tony, you have a question. I guess that's why you raised the hand. Your question is that how much percentage have to be scored to pass examination? It's 65% time. You have to score 65% to pass examination. But I'm not saying that. I'm saying that don't keep the goal just to get the 65% because you have to keep the higher goal. So just keep a goal to score at least 75% so that you have enough room to accommodate within 10%. Just in case if you get tougher questions or something goes wrong, still you have put too much of effort to at least get 75%. The passing score is 65%, but what I'm saying is please keep a goal for getting at least 75% in the examination. So 65% is the passing score. See, the concepts and the questions that we have discussed, they are more than enough for anyone to clear the examination. So I would highly recommend that don't wait for more than a month time to give the examination. The reason being, I've seen that after a month or after a few weeks, people lose the motivation to give the examination, and also since they get a good amount of gap in between, they tend to forget the concepts. All right, so don't spend more than a month to revise the concepts. That's the maximum, and go for the examination. Other question is, what topics are most important that we should concentrate? The topics that are most important from my understanding and my perspective are, I just write it down so that you can just make note of it. ELB, auto scaling, EBS, S3, VPC, Route 50. No, Route 50 is not that much important. And so these are the 5 most important topics of all IAM. Okay. So if you have a good knowledge of these 6 topics, you can clear the examination. That's guaranteed. If you have sound knowledge on these 6 topics, no one can stop you to clear the examination. Yes, of course, there are other topics as well, but the major chunk of questions come up from these topics. Major chunk of questions. All right. Any more questions, guys? Because before we can wind up, before we can sign off. I hope that this entire batch has been informative for you, and you can apply this knowledge to achieve your goals in the future. Any more thing that you want to add? Anything you want to ask? Okay, Kamish is. Your question is which sections we should give more important and more questions come up from. So, Kamish, these are the 6 topics. So, if I'm talking about the solutions architect associate, these are the 6 topics from where the maximum questions come up. Which site we should read? Kamish, if you're talking about the site to then you have to go to the site aws.amazon.com/. documentation. So from here you can just receive, you can see the documents. Okay. So you can scroll the documentation on the top. So this side you can just refer to this, get access to the documents for the other AWS services. Tony is saying I'm reading a book on AWS. It looks good. So Tony, what's the name of the book anyhow? Or if you guys provide with me the link. Because yes, I'm aware that there are 2 or 3 books available. Not sure how they have the content, what kind of content they have. AWS in action. Okay, I'll see what that book says. AWS is in action. Okay. This one. Yeah, I'd seen that. I'd seen that while I was searching for something. I'm not sure how. So, from your perspective, this book is quite good. You will see that it contains all the services that we have covered. Okay. Yeah, I've seen that, Tony, from my side. Thank you, Raghureddy. Thank you so very much, guys. I'll sure send you the link. So thank you so much, for, guys, for your time and patience. And yeah, thank you, Kamesh. Thanks once again. So best of luck for the future. Just in case you have any queries, feel free to let me know. And last but not least, please fill the feedback form after this session, because this last feedback is the most important feedback of all, because we'll get the overall feedback, the overall overview that, okay, how you have felt about this entire course. So please fill the feedback form after this session gets over. All right. Goodbye. Bye-bye.